Welcome to today's in-depth examination of a tectonic change that is currently upending the fundamental foundations of professional tennis. We are broadcasting at a time when a pure cultural phenomenon, rather than merely forehands and backhands, is challenging the Women's Tennis Association's established hierarchy. Your mind would naturally and quite logically go to the household names if I were to ask you right now who the most popular player on the WTA Tour is. Coco Gauff, the American prodigy who won the Grand Slam title and won the hearts of millions of people, might come to mind first. You may consider the world number one, Belarusian powerhouse Aryna Sabalenka, whose fierceness on the court is only rivaled by her enormous worldwide reputation. You may even turn to IG Swat, the strategic whiz who has dominated the rankings like a vice. These are the titans of contemporary gaming. They are the athletes who command million-dollar endorsements and prime-time broadcast slots, the faces on billboards, and the big names that tournament administrators envision. What if I told you, however, that Gauff is not the biggest draw in women's tennis at the moment, the player producing unheard-of crowd surges and complete chaos worldwide, according to some of the most reputable voices in the sport? How would you react if I told you it wasn't Sabalenka? We're here today to discuss a startling discovery that was just verified by former ADP touring professionals on the popular Nothing Major podcast. The player who has received formal recognition as an incredible rock star. ALEXANDRA EALA, a 20-year-old Filipina sensation, is the player who is single-handedly changing the norms of audience interaction. You heard properly. American tennis legends Steve Johnson, Sam Querrey, and John claim that ALEXANDRA EALA, a player who a year ago was barely in the top 100 and struggling through the challenger circuit, is currently the most captivating presence on the circuit. People have called the frenzy surrounding EALA mind-blowing, insane, and completely crazy. From the Doha and Dubai championships in the Middle East to the Australian Open in Melbourne, she is drawing standing room-only crowds to every continent she travels. The sport has rarely seen such devotion, which is more akin to the most ardent football spectators than the customarily courteous cheers of a tennis gallery. We must examine the figures, the quotes, and the unquestionable truth of what is currently occurring in stadiums in order to fully comprehend the scope of the narrative. We are discussing how EALA's pre-tournament press conferences drew over 171,000 internet viewers, completely surpassing the 29,000 who watched Coco Gauff and Carlos Alcaraz and vastly outstripping the 9,000 who watched Aryna Sabalenka. Because the outdoor courts are unable to accommodate the thousands of fervent Filipino fans who travel from far and wide to see their national hero, tournament organizers were forced to change their schedule and move a player currently ranked 31st in the world onto center courts and second-tier stadiums. When asked if she was the biggest draw, Steve Johnson responded without hesitation, saying unequivocally that she is making a bigger impact than any other rising star in recent memory. John Iser highlighted the enormous, unrealized potential of the Philippine market, a group that is currently flooding the tennis scene with an unstoppable, contagious zeal. This is more than just a tale of a gifted teenage athlete finding her footing. This occurrence is sociological. It is a tale of representation, the Filipino people's worldwide diaspora, and how one person can become a symbol of pride for the country on a global scale. EALA's incredible run to the Miami Open semifinals last year, where she defeated several Grand Slam champions, served as the impetus for her recent meteoric climb, which has resulted in a career-high ranking and a recent, much-reported matchup with Coco Gauff in Dubai. Even the American superstar had to stop, grab the microphone, and expressly thank EALA for introducing a whole new audience to the sport, even if Gauff won that specific match. The message was obvious, the stands were crowded, and the atmosphere was electrifying. Now that ALEXANDRA EALA is here, the world is joining her. Let's put what it means to be a draw in professional tennis into perspective. In the past, the sport's ticket sales and broadcast ratings have been fueled by rivalries and dominant individual personalities. We recall the contrast between John McEnroe's fiery temperament and Bjorn Borg's cold precision. We recall Chris Evert and Martina Navratilovan's baseline fights, a rivalry that went beyond sports and encapsulated the spirit of the 1970s and 1980s. We saw Andre Agassi's unquestionable box business success as his brightly colored clothes and defiant demeanor attracted a whole new, younger crowd to Wimbledon and Flushing Meadows. Naturally, we also had the time of Serena Williams, a transcendent generational icon whose mere attendance at a tournament ensured sold-out venues, broke attendance records, and garnered a degree of widespread media attention that is unattainable for most sports. Serena was more than simply a tennis player. She was a world phenomenon. The Women's Tennis Association has been going through a transition since Serena's departure from the game, looking for a new force to keep the tour afloat. Magnificent champions have risen to the challenge. Before retiring early, Ashley Barty brought a lovely classical game. A remarkable standard of excellence has been set by IG Swiatek. Aryna Sabalenka has contributed unquestionable charisma and tremendous strength. The inspirational story of a young prodigy realizing her enormous potential on the biggest stages is provided by Coco Gauff. However, what we are witnessing with Alexandra EALA is essentially different in nature and origin, even with this amazing lineup of talent. There is typically a rigid process involved in becoming the greatest draw in tennis. A Grand Slam is yours. You make it into the top 5 ranks. You get significant corporate sponsorships. The enormous worldwide throngs then follow. The popularity results from long-term, consistent championship success. This paradigm is being totally reversed by Alexandra EALA. Her current global ranking is number 31. She hasn't yet taken home a Grand Slam singles championship. In many ways, she is still honing her skills and perfecting her game at the top level of the WTA Tour. However, her audience is outstripping that of the multi-slam champions. At competitions across the Americas, Australia, and the Middle East, she is evoking a regional Super Bowl vibe. We are compelled to consider the current state of sports fandom in light of this occurrence. What motivates a fan to purchase a ticket, paint their face, raise a flag, and yell till they become a horse? Alexandra EALA is more than just an athlete to the Filipino diaspora. On a global scale, she is a living, breathing embodiment of their identity, resiliency, and goals. The Philippines is a country that has a strong interest for sports and has historically dominated basketball and boxing. Tennis has always been a niche hobby, but ILA has unlocked the secret and turned a nation of more than 100 million people and its sizable international expat population into ardent tennis fans. It's astounding how much support there is. She represents the weight and propelled her into the top 100. It granted her direct entry into the Grand Slams. She reached her maiden WTA final on the grass courts of Eastbourne. She secured her first main draw Grand Slam victory at the US Open, becoming the first Filipina in history to achieve such a feat. She finished the 2025 season inside the top 50, setting the stage for the absolute madness that has defined her 2026 campaign. If 2025 was the year of the breakthrough, 2026 is the year of the coronation. Her arrival in Melbourne highlighted the logistical challenges her popularity is now creating. When she was scheduled to play her first round match on Court 6, it resulted in a situation that tournament directors dread. Court 6 is a modest outside court designed for early round matches. It simply could not handle the sheer volume of humanity that descended upon it. Reports from the grounds described a massive surge of Filipino fans, creating a severe bottleneck. The walkways were jammed. Thousands of supporters were stranded outside the court, completely unable to gain entry despite having arrived hours early. It was a physical manifestation of Steve Johnson's comments. The infrastructure of the tournament was buckling under the weight of her star power. This phenomenon only intensified as the tour moved to the Middle East. The region boasts one of the highest concentrations of overseas Filipino workers in the world. When EALA arrived for the Qatar Total Energies Open in Doha, the atmosphere was instantly electric. John is not exaggerating when he called the crowds completely crazy. The stands were packed to the brim. The noise level was deafening. And every point she won was greeted with a roar that sounded more like a World Cup final than a tennis match. But it was at the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships where EALA truly solidified her status. Fueled once again by immense passionate crowds, EALA went on a brilliant run. She dispatched Hailey Baptiste, secured a massive victory over the talented Italian Jasmine Polini and overcame the veteran Sari. With every victory, her ranking climbed higher, eventually pushing her to a new career high of world number 31. This phenomenal run in Dubai set the stage for a quarterfinal showdown that the entire tennis world circled on their calendars. ALEXANDRA EALA vs Coco Gauff. The quarterfinal match in Dubai between ALEXANDRA EALA and Coco Gauff was more than just a tennis match. It was a fascinating collision of two completely different paradigms of tennis stardom. On one side of the net stood Coco Gauff. Gauff is the archetypal modern American superstar. She has the Grand Slam pedigree, possessing immense athleticism, a terrifying backhand, and the polished media-savvy persona of an athlete who has been groomed for greatness her entire life. On the other side stood ALEXANDRA EALA, the ultimate underdog story turned global phenomenon. She entered the match as the clear underdog in terms of ranking and experience, but she possessed an intangible advantage: the crowd. Despite the match taking place in the United Arab Emirates, the stadium belonged to EALA. Gauff, currently ranked world number 4, is accustomed to having the crowd squarely in her corner. But on this night, she was the antagonist in the eyes of the thousands of passionate Filipino fans. The match itself was a masterclass from the American Gauff. Perhaps sensing the danger of letting the crowd get deeply involved, came out with a level of focused intensity that was breathtaking. She broke EALA's serve in the very first game and ruthlessly executed her tactical game plan, particularly targeting EALA's forehand wing. Gauff won the first 10 games of the match consecutively. EALA never stopped fighting, but Gauff's lead was insurmountable. The final score was 6-2 in favor of the American. However, the most significant moment of the evening did not occur during the play. It occurred during the post-match on-court interview. This is where the true grace and intelligence of Coco Gauff shone through. Gauff, holding the microphone in the center of the stadium, looked out at a crowd that had actively rooted against her. Instead of expressing frustration, she confronted it with absolute class. "Thank you guys for coming out here," Gauff began. "I know you are mostly supporting Alex, but I have to say it's great to be on a crowded court. Also, I'd like to thank Alex for bringing a new demographic to the sport. I really appreciate it. I think it's great." This was a profound moment. Coco Gauff, one of the most famous athletes on the planet, explicitly recognizing that ALEXANDRA EALA is fundamentally expanding the audience of professional tennis. When a player like Gauff validates the crowd dynamic in such a public manner, it cements the narrative. It is no longer just a podcast debate. It is an undeniable reality. It fully appreciates the claim that EALA is a bigger draw than Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff. We must deeply analyze what Sabalenka and Gauff represent. Aryna Sabalenka is the apex predator of the WTA Tour. Her serve is a weapon of mass destruction, and her ground strokes are hit with a ferocity that few women can match. Sabalenka is a massive draw because people love the spectacle of raw power. However, her appeal is largely rooted in the traditional tennis fan base. She commands respect, awe, and admiration, but she does not inspire the visceral flag-waving nationalistic fervor that commands. Coco Gauff is the golden child of American tennis. She draws massive crowds, particularly in the United States, bringing in a younger demographic who follow her on social media. She is a phenomenal ambassador for the sport. But what EALA is doing is entirely different. EALA is not just attracting tennis fans. She is converting non-tennis fans into rabbit ticket-buying superfans simply by virtue of her nationality and her success. If you put Aryna Sabalenka on a court in Dubai against a mid-ranked player, the stadium will be comfortably full.